Steelers Nation, welcome back to Steelers Nation Australia. With that performance, yes, I do agree. The Steelers could definitely go one and done in the playoffs. The scenario is if the Raiders win tomorrow, the Steelers would then face the fourth seed, the Steelers versus Texans. If the Chargers win tomorrow, the Steelers face Baltimore. At the same time, though, when that kind of performance, as we saw it live in the live chat, I had over 45 people near the end of the show. As I threw down my football and my damn PowerPoint went out, so I didn't see the last go. Wilson didn't play well. There's now talk about should the Steelers bring back Wilson next year, what's going to happen with Justin Fields. Do you turn to Fields? I don't know. I do think, though, the Steelers will keep going with Wilson until the season is over, right? Do I want that to happen? I'm okay with it if he's playing good football and we're having our receivers catch the ball like Pickens, who dropped a few today. But overall, the offense was bad. Wilson played bad. Offensive line has no time for Wilson. He's holding the ball way too long. He probably should have slid outside out of bounds, but you can't allow to go up tempo right near the end of the series when you should be starting faster at the start of the game. You're down by 16 to 7 or something like that. And in the fourth quarter, Renegade plays, you start to come back 16-14, get a field goal after a botched punt, which hit the Bengals' toe, and the Bengals could have bungled. And all those things happen, and the Steelers legit just didn't play very well. Now the Bengals have been climbing back from this playoff run they've been on now 5 games in a row. All they need to happen now is the Chiefs to beat the Broncos, and also they need the Dolphins to lose to the Jets. Now, am I confident that the Jets are going to win with Aaron Rodgers? No, I think he's played piss poor as well. But our offense played really, really bad today. And now I do see it, Steelers Nation. I'm not saying fire Tomlin. And yes, a lot of people in the chat will say fire Tomlin. A lot of people in the chat will say get rid of Wilson. A lot of people in the chat will say Pickens needs to grow up. The whole team needs to grow up. The only real, I guess, good Steeler today who I saw trying their heart out was probably Cameron Haywood. He put his paw up there 3 or 4 times and made plays. There were plays from Keanu Benton who played pretty well in certain spots too. We didn't see TJ Watt or Highsmith get to Burrow that quickly, didn't get a sack, but other guys stepped up in their position and played good interior defense and got to the man. We saw that. Our secondary was getting burnt toast from the first few plays, but they came back into the game, but their offense at the end of the day just didn't get the job done. It's a team loss. It's a bad loss. You've now lost 4 in a row. Eagles, Ravens in their house, KC, Christmas Day, and also to end the year, the regular season game, the Bengals come to Heinz Field in 20-degree weather or -6 for me, really cold. The Steelers have to simply wake up and do something better. If you're going to play the Ravens or going to play Texans away as a wild card, the Steelers have made the playoffs again. And I do see it. I see the people already yelling, already writing down fire Tomlin, already getting their thumbs ready to say fire Tomlin, and we were a one-and-done season. I do definitely see that because of the performance today does not look like a playoff team. You cannot wait until the last quarter to go and win the game with a Chris Boswell field goal. Would have been great to see 55-yarder. In that case, we didn't even get there with a drop ball from Freiermuth and some bad offensive play to end the game. And you should have got out of bounds. We had one timeout. It was leading up to a Pittsburgh special at home in Heinz Field. But you can't allow that to happen when there's no up-tempo play from the beginning. And the Steelers are running a 1-yard rush and the halfback toss and Najee in the Warren. It just does not work. And you're getting the ball to Patterson in a halfback toss where the blockers are not blocking the right lanes and doing the correct job, and they're not executing the play. Mike Tomlin has to turn this team around the next week. Otherwise, the fan base, half the fan base, are going to go absolutely after him. I'm a Mike Tomlin guy. I don't think they should fire him, and I don't think they will fire him in the next 2 years. But he does have things to prove by getting to the playoffs and getting past the first round. And it does feel like this team is a one-and-done team because they're not winning the last game. How can you go into the playoffs 0-4 and lose all these important games, can't beat the big teams like the Ravens, the Chiefs, or the Eagles, and an AFC North rival come into your house where you could have ended the Bengals season, and now they're waiting for the Broncos and the Dolphins to lose to jump in. If the Bengals jump into the playoff race, they're going to be a tough team to beat because Joe Burrow's on fire. If Higgins comes back healthy and Jamar Chase, you can't stop them. Corey Trice, Elliott made one big tackle I saw, but most times I saw him get burnt in coverage. I saw the cornerbacks get burnt in coverage. I saw the middle linebackers out of place and miscommunication from Cameron Sutton. This team isn't playing Pittsburgh Steelers, true Steelers defense football. They're not communicating. They're not getting together. They're allowing bad passes and all over the shop, bad defense. And on the flip side, something good does happen from our defense. There's no complimentary ball where the offense is going 3 and out. You can't go 3 and out, and you cannot allow the Bengals in this game time possession. As I read the stats, the Bengals had, I think, over 30-something minutes time possession. 38 minutes. You can't allow a Bengals team to have 38 minutes. They should have scored more points than that. 19-17, 38 minutes. We had 22 minutes for our possession, right? They had, how many plays they had? They had 71 plays. We had 58. They had total yards, 314. We had 193. Total drives, 11-11. 4.4 yards average plays. Now, the penalties, I think there was some that I didn't like, but overall it was a clean enough game where the Steelers should have got the job done and they should have executed plays and won the football game. But you cannot allow, you score 0 in the first quarter, 7 in the second, nothing in the third, and then 10 points in the fourth quarter for a chance. And then ultimately you lose to the game 19-17. Russ was poor in my opinion. I do like Russ as a quarterback. 17-31, 148, 4.8 yards average, 1 TD, 4 sacks. O-line was poor too. Najee, 3 yards average. They ran him 12 times. Warren, they couldn't run the football, 3.2. Frymouth had 8 receptions, 85 yards. Where was that in the middle of the season? 1 TD, 11 targets. Mike Williams, 1 for 1 target, 25. Najee Harris had 20 yards. Ben Jefferson, 18. George Pickens, where was George? George had about 3 or 4 drops in this game. Where was George? In the big moments, where was George Pickens? He needed to take this game by the horns and get it done. There was a fumble by Calvin Austin. That can't happen as well. That was bad to see. There was a fumble recovery from the Bengals who hit his toe. Connor Hayward got that. Corey Trice had 11 tackles. So did Peyton Wilson. Deshaun Elliott had 8. He had 1 big tackle. Other than that, sack-wise, Queen had 1. Benson had 1. Smith had 1. Nick Herbig had 1. They were getting to Joe Burrow in the interior, but from the outside, there's a little bit of pressure, but we didn't see too much of TJ Watt. This team is not a good football team right now, and I don't know what to expect next week. If they go into Baltimore, can they beat Baltimore? Yes. But what team will we get? Will we get a team in the middle of the season, or will we get a team at right now where you're seeing them play pretty piss-poor football, starting slow? If you start slow against the Ravens, they're going to carve you up, run you over, 7, 14, 21, 21, 10 at halftime. Very tough to come back. Do you verse the fast-paced CJ Stroud and Houston Texans? Yeah, they're struggling a little bit here and there, but if they go up 7, 10 points, 14, can you go toe-to-toe with them? The Steelers have to figure this out. Otherwise, they will definitely be one and done this season. And yet again, we'll hear it. It'll be 8 years since Mike Tomlin has had a playoff win. And as a Mike Tomlin fan, you just don't want to hear that. And the reality is people they have a right to say that. They do. We are struggling. We're playing bad. And if you don't like Mike Tomlin and not a fan of him, or you're not a fan, or you want to fire him, you have more than right to say it. I'm just sick of hearing it because the Steelers aren't going to fire him. But you have more than right to say fire Mike Tomlin if you want to. If that makes you feel happy, you do that. But Chris Boswell got 1 field goal, 200 points. Waitman had a bad punt for like 26 yards. Overall, Steelers played bad. They played really, 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 really bad. And they need to turn around in a week. A week's time now, either to be 5th or 6th as a wild card. If you don't win this one, all the good work in the start of the season will feel like it goes to nothing. Is Wilson the guy? Is Fields the guy? Is there a guy not named on the Steelers quarterback depth chart that could be someone else to be in the draft or next year? Who are they going to get? This team right now needs some identity, and they just haven't got that. I'm extremely pissed off they lost because the Bengals are still going. I'm pissed off because the Steelers aren't playing good football. They had a chance to win the division. That didn't happen. This team right now has to figure something out. Are you a running team? Are you an up-tempo team? Are you a team that gets the ball to Frymouth and Pickens and Austin, your playmakers that should be getting the ball more? Are you a team that's playing run the football and get 4 yards, play action pass? What are you? What are the Pittsburgh Steelers? They played renegade. They got the ball back, but they still lost the game 19-17. The Bengals hang around. The Bengals did a good job. Joe Burrow's got over 40-something TDs, MVP worthy. If they get into the playoffs, he might be in contention to win it. Don't know. It's tough. Very, very tough. I'll see you guys later in the week, but it's a very tough team to watch right now. The fact they've lost 4 in a row does not sit well with me. It does not. I'm a positive Steelers fan. I try and see the best in them, but right now they could be very well one and done next week if they verse the Baltimore Ravens or the Houston Texans. Oi, oi, oi. I'll see you later.